To the channel. This is a history person, and this is episode 2 of Aircraft Legends. We'll be going over the F4U Corsair. We'll be going over from its first flight to after the Vietnam War in Honduras. So let's get into the video. The F4U Corsair made its first flight on May 29th, 1940. And Corsair was made by Vought, Goodyear, and Brewster. And Corsair that was made by Vought was called the F4U. The ones that were made by Brewster were called F3As. And the ones that were made by Goodyear were called FGs. The Corsair served with the United States from 1942 to 1953, when the last Corsair rolled off the production line. It was retired a couple months later. And Corsair was powered by an R2800 Pratt & Whitney double wasp engine, producing 2,000 horsepower. And Corsair was originally supposed to only be armed with 3 50 cals and a 30 caliber machine guns. But after the United States reviewing what happened in the Spanish Civil War and what was going on with Britain, in 1940 that changed to 6 50 caliber machine guns. So the fuel tanks that were in the wings had to be removed and moved in front of the cockpit. So the cockpit was moved backwards to fit the fuel tanks. That gave the Corsair poor forward visibility, and saying that it did not have a bubble canopy, which even still wasn't very common for the time. It didn't have good backwards visibility either, so they had to have those little mirrors. And Corsair had a 12-to-1 kill ratio. For every 12 aircraft shot down, a Corsair was shot down. In that respect, the Corsair was a very good airplane, which most of you probably already know. And Corsair served with not only the United States, it served with the British, the Australians, and the New Zealand Air Forces. Although the ones that served with the New Zealand Air Forces didn't see a whole lot of action. The ones that served with the British Air Force, the ends of their wings were chopped off because the British carriers had such less ceiling than the American ones. The American carriers had much more ceiling than the British ones. That gave the British Corsairs a better roll rate. The British Corsairs are what developed the standard for the landing techniques for the carrier, since it is a naval-based fighter, although it wasn't always like that. The United States first put it into action with the United States Marines as a land-based fighter after it couldn't complete sea trials due to stiff landing gear and a bouncing problem. And Corsair was known to bounce wildly across the deck, not just putting the pilot, but other deck crew's lives at risk. The British still found it be happy that they had a modern carrier-borne fighter. Well, at least they were happy. United States, their carriers didn't see carrier operations until mid-1943. The Corsair had a top speed of 446 miles per hour at level flight. Meant the Corsair was one of the fastest naval fighters of its time. Much faster than the Wildcat or the Hellcat. The Hellcat, the Corsair that the plane that the Corsair served alongside with, was only meant to be a stopgap until the Corsair was able to find its wings on the carrier. But it ended up becoming the mainstay for the United States Navy, meaning the Corsair was kicked out, and it began to be the mainstay for the Marine Corps. The Marines were able to get their Corsairs on decks also. That's when the Corsair really began to shine. The Corsair provided a good support role, as well as a good dogfighter. And the Corsair, being fitted with 650 caliber machine guns, a 3-bladed Hamilton standard propeller, and a 2,000 horsepower engine, meant that it was a beast to be reckoned with on the battlefield. Also, being able to carry several thousand pounds of bombs, rockets, and other ordnance, including drop tanks for escort missions over Japan, which the Corsair did do occasionally, since all the P-51s were sent to Europe. That saying, the Corsair was a very viable airplane, keeping up with even the modern jets of the Korean War, and serving with Honduras in 1979 in the football war. The Corsair became one of the most legendary airplanes, and many even say the best airplane of World War II. There are 12 or so of these airplanes still flying today, out of the 12,571 built from 1942 to 1953. Many of them sport liveries from the British and United States Navies, as well as the United States Marine Corps. This Corsair that I've been flying today is an early model from 1942, based off the prototype. Many people remember the F4U A1 as the mainstay fighter. The Corsair is my favorite airplane, many people's favorite airplane, and it has been shown to be a viable aircraft in any situation. That'll conclude the second episode of Aircraft Legends. If you've liked the 2 videos that I've posted already, that's including this one, please hit the like, subscribe, and post notifications, and leave a comment down below if you'd like to see more of this kind of content. And if you'd like to see more me doing video games and gaming commentary, like what I did, kind of like what I was doing today while filming this, just say so in the comments and leave what airplane you'd like for me to do next. Have a fabulous day,